for 4 years. Over $1 million each year for 4 years.
What happens after 4 years?
Then we could also then apply for state funding.
I'm sorry.
So is the intent that the 64 pre-K students at each school will be the only ones that occupy?
No, there's 64 students who are waiting to be tested that have been referred to special ed. Right now, there's 100 special education children across the district.
Pre-K.
At East pre-K. At East School, we have 20.
So, just from outbreak, so those 100 kids that we're responsible for will now come out of their various locations and go to Southeast?
No, we would have the ones at East go to Southeast. They would get split among the classrooms,
So that's 20.
20. And then any child in the district, and we have usually over half of the children who are entering kindergarten do not have an early childhood program. We would put them in there.
Are they special ed or not?
No, the regular ed would be, because what we're trying to do two things. That's challenge 2 and 3. One, to get our children who receive support services, significant support services, to have time with typical peers. And then the second piece is to provide an early childhood program for about 100, for the 182 children who don't have one.
But right now, we're not required to provide a preschool program for students that are not special ed.
Correct. And we would not be in that business. We would still use this for our children with special needs, and those classrooms can be run by programs that have school readiness funds. It means, no, only state and federally funded programs.
But they're organizations that are not the 20 public schools.
Correct. It's
So
the
we would renovate this building to have private entities operating their business out of it. I'm just trying to wrap my
Right.
mind around.
It's
what we're
not, but
exactly-
no, we're not working with private businesses. We're working with the state and federal funded early childhood programs in Torrington. You have Head Start, you have Torrington Child Care Center. These are, right now, an example, when I say state funded, Torrington Child Care Center receives $400,000 a year through readiness monies and DSS money. Okay, it's not private. It's not like, I'm trying to think.
Well, I guess,
But it is
so it's
separate.
not our employees.
Right,
It's not
right,
our.
right.
Will this proposal bring us into compliance with the state?
With special ed, it would. Early childhood special ed, yes.
Can I ask a totally unrelated question of you, Dave?
Right.
Joe, what is the average cost of a portable classroom? Give me a guess.
It's 300.
Per classroom?
That was what we back.
So this renovation of this building, if we had to displace children from East School, would provide us with 6 classrooms, a gym, a cafeteria,
Not a cafeteria, a kitchen.
a kitchen, I'm sorry, for $850,000, when we would be staring at somewhere around $1.8 million to do that with portables?
You're finding the location.
Finding the location.
Connections.
Connections, plumbing.
Yep. So in the short need, if we look at renovating East School, this provides a viable option to displace some children from East School at $850,000 versus a $2 million expense for portables.
Well, could you though, if that grant money, is the grant money
No. That grant money's for running,
based on preschool going in there?
Yes,
or-
it's only, yeah,
but that's $150,000.
well, it's only
The
50,000.
money from the grant for the preschool.
Right.
So it would be $1 million. Dan, sorry.
So we're talking about moving Torrington special education students into this facility. So you're gonna have 4 special education teachers for Torrington Public Schools, plus the paras, plus a secretary, plus an administrator, as well as private entity people. I can already see the grievances coming. I want a breakdown of how much it's gonna cost for our special education teachers, our paraprofessionals, our secretary, our administrator. Because you only have a $200,000 line item in here for that, which, I mean, that's one administrator. By the time you get finished with their salary, their benefits package, their insurance package, I mean, you're talking easy $350,000, $400,000 a year just in salaries.
Which sheet are you
If-
looking at, the 200,000?
This sheet. If you look
No,
down.
that's renovations, that's
Oh,
nothing to
that's
do with staff.
only, that's not staff.
No, no.
Ah,
That's why the $1.3 million grant to run the pre-K program, special ed situation, only 150,000 of that 1.3 million is eligible to be used for renovation. The other 1.1 million is to offset administrative teaching costs.
And you said private entities would use this building as well?
It would be in partnership with our state and federally funded early childhood programs that now exist in Torrington, such as Head Start,
Such
and
as
Torrington
Brooker Memorial?
Child Care Center. Brooker Memorial is a private,
Okay.
okay? It's a
Yep.
private school, it's not, they have to be NIAC accredited, they have to serve a population
Okay,
of
it's
200%.
It's just the one I was the most familiar with, because my daughter used to go there.
Okay, and if you look on the next slide, you, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you look,
I'm kidding.
yeah, you will see that with the operating budget for Torrington Public Schools, we already have 3 special ed teachers who are servicing this early childhood program at each school. You would see that we already have the speech and language. What we were doing, we are not adding faculty, we are just transferring them to this place
Cheryl, just,
as the paraeducators. And we also already provide transportation for those 16 students. So the cost of a special education program would not increase. It's just shifting a program that already exists, that we already have.
Would it be a more effective program if you were to do this? Or if we were to do this as a district?
I believe it would be.
so we have 3 special education teachers for the 20 kids in the pre-K?
These are our students.
And how many paras are tied to those 20 kids?
That-
Do we have the
Yes.
number?
Do you know how many paras are tied to the 3 pre-K teachers up at East School?
I may have that right here, actually. You just wait for a second, please.
Two or three.
I don't
each
wanna
one.
guess, I think there's 6, but I have to, I wanna be able to verify that. I don't have those sheets.
Approximately 6.
And is there still a pre-K at Vogel, or is that totally?
Yes, well, the voices.
Just a pre-K? No. There's
Um,
still a pre-K at Vogel.
No, the voices is K1, and then, what is it, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, the way that's broken down.
They also.
Yeah, they have pre-K.
Do we know how many students are, will those kids in the pre-K at Vogel, special ed, also go here, or would they stay at Vogel?
They'll stay at Vogel.
And how many, do we know how many kids are in that program?
Which,
Pre-K at
Pre-K
Vogel.
at Vogel.
the pre-K at Vogel.
Okay.
So pre-K at Vogel, we have, well, the pre-K at Vogel, we have the program that's community-based, so the staff, it goes out into the community. And.
That one, okay, I was thinking of voices. No, you're talking,
Oh.
yes, that one could go over here as well.
Yeah, but the voices is not pre-K.
No,
Right, how many,
That's-
do you know how many pre-K students there are at Vogel?
Vogel. There's 10 students that are served in the building with the community pre-K staff. But then there's other students that are housed in our community preschools, and staff goes and serves them, those students, out in the community and preschools that they go to. So that number I have to get for you.
How many staff work in that program there?
In the program that serves the community,
Just the whole pre-K program that's working out of Vogel?
okay.
In-house and community.
In-house
Okay,
and
so we have 3, I can just adding.
Yep.
That's okay.
Teacher. Okay, so we have at Vogel, whether they're servicing students in the community or in the building, we have 1 OT, 1 OT, 2 speech and language therapists, 1 PT, physical therapist. We have 3 teachers, and we have, I believe, 6 paras total.
Do we know currently how many we're servicing out in the community?
How many students?
Just that, I know it probably
Like a
changes all the
ballpark?
time, but
Like a ballpark for you right now? Okay, I know how many are in the other programs, so I
so I guess, so the sped teachers and the paras don't leave Vogel, correct? Only the OT, PTs?
Well, the
They all-
OT and PT, they serve, of course, you know, the community as well as the students that are at Vogel. As well as this, and the speech and language do the same. Okay, they kind of share, have to share, they go to all the different buildings, you know. And there are about 7 to 10 different, community, you know, preschools that they go to, you know. And then there's the Head Start program. So if you could permit me to get all of those more solid numbers, I can even get them to you. We don't have to wait until the next board meeting, I can get them to you quicker than that. And I can email them to you if that's okay.
But it goes back to what I had stated earlier tonight, is that there's 4 different ways that we service children with special needs. Early childhood education, 3 to 5-year-olds in Torrington. One is that the parents bring them. The second part is that their parents have put them in an early childhood environment, they've had a referral to special ed, they've been tested, and they are designated to receive some type of service, so they stay where they are and we go to them. The third part is that we have a co-taught program, full-day program at Head Start. It's 2 classes. And then the fourth way is with our self-contained classrooms. And you're always looking to service children in the least restrictive environment.
Andrew?
That 1.2 million 4-year annual, 1.2 million 4-year grant to run, exactly what will this run? This will be utilized district-wide or just for what will be implemented at Southeast School? And of that 1.2 million, will it be cutting into pre-existing operating expenses that we're already paying for?
You can't supplant what's already in existence.
So that 1.2 is only for,
Additional children who could be serviced.
Now, to answer your question, what is the percentage of that that's tuition?
20,000 per child.
So what that 1.2 million is paying 20,000 per child to the state and federally funded certified preschools in Torrington to work in that building. So Torrington Child Center and
Head
Head Start
And,
would come in with kids, and we would pay that entity $20,000 a kid to educate that kid for the year. Is that correct?
For a,
it all depends. Wait, yeah, okay, we'll say that for now to keep it simple.
for a total of how many?
42.
42 at 20,000 is 840?
And then
And-
you have transportation, food. Donna, you want to add what else we could buy with it?
Sure, if I may, it would be 42 additional spots, but also 38 expanded slots. So currently, we have half-day slots at the centers that we were talking about, Head Start, Torrington Child Care Center, and Hilltop Christian Early Learning Center, which are all school readiness sites. So it would be the 42 full day, full year, additional slots, and then 38 slots that were currently half-day are now going to be expanded to full day and be able to give, greater service to those children. And it would include, obviously, salaries, it would include transportation, it would include, the staff would have to be up to par, bachelor's degrees with an early childhood background. So it's looking at quality standards across the whole scheme of it.
So the employees and all that would belong to the other entities?
Correct.
And we would pay how much per student as a tuition?
The grant would provide the funding. Torrington Public Schools wouldn't be providing any funding. The grant actually will supply $20,000 per child who's full day, full year. If they're 10 months, I think it's like $18,000 per student.
And for, what was it, for the half, if they're just expanding to the full?
Right, if they're currently receiving school readiness funds, right now they're currently only funded at $6,000 to $7,000. They're extremely underfunded, and the teachers that they have to get quality teachers to stay with them cannot stay with them, because if they go for their bachelor's and they get their teacher certification, they're going into the public school system. So the centers are losing very good quality staff. This grant answers that question, to keep quality staff paid at a livable wage, basically. So that's what it would provide.
But it would be paid by Torrington, because the grant is a revenue to Torrington, and then Torrington would write a check to the individual entities.
We would do it exactly the way the school readiness is run, where it's basically contracting out with these
Right,
state-funded and federal.
but the money doesn't go directly to them from the state or the
Correct.
federal. It comes to us, and then we write
Correct.
it as an expense.
Yes. it
So
had-
it's Torrington revenue going out as a Torrington expense.
Correct.
Right, okay.
But we already do that for how many
Yep.
students?
We're like 50 students, 50 to 60 students are currently. We're almost doubling the capacity to serve.
Okay, the students that we're currently doing that for, they're housed in Torrington Public Schools.
Which
And
students?
the 50 students that we're currently receiving the grant money for and providing services to.
They're out, well,
They're at Head Start, they're at Hilltop, they're at,
Again, I've got a path here I'm following.
yes,
They're not currently in Torrington Public Schools.
no, they're at some are.
some are.
They are in our buildings. They
No.
are in East School, they are in Torrington Ford, they are in Forbes, they're in Southwest.
They're
They're
at
They're all-
Head Start.
They're all out?
Yeah.
They're at
They're
Head
all
Start.
outplaced?
Okay, they're outside our
Yes.
physical properties.
Correct.
Okay.
And where does that mean they are?
Well,
At-
that's
at
what they just got
certified-
through.
At certified preschools around Torrington,
In Torrington?
yes.
And they're
Right,
Torrington students?
they're in Torrington?
They're Torrington residents?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
This-
but they're not physically housed in one of our buildings, which is my point to the grievances. It's one thing when they're not a Torrington Public building. Southeast School is a Torrington Public Schools building. It will be maintained by Torrington Public Schools. And now we're talking about taking and shifting revenue to a private entity that is not Torrington Public Schools for education of regular ed students alongside special education students from Torrington Public Schools being taught by Torrington Public Schools professional teachers alongside a private entities, irregardless of how they're called, it's still a private entity. So, yeah. until the grievances. Because again, you're housing a separate entity staff in the same classroom or next to the same classroom of Torrington Public School teaching staff, and now it is a physical Torrington Public School building.
I think to clarify Dan's point, if I might.
Yes, please.
You're going to have unionized Torrington Public School employees teaching in the same classroom, the same students as non-unionized private workers in the same physical plant. That's going, what you're going to be doing is privatizing public education in a public building.
Okay, so the biggest thing is because it's a public building, because we're doing that right
We're
now
gonna own it.
at Head Start.
Where's
Okay.
that starting?
Up on Pulaski, up at the old St. Mary's School.
But that's not our building.
Our teachers are going in, right?
No, it's the, yeah, our teachers are going, no, we have a teacher there all day, and we have a speech and language person there all day.
But it's not a Torrington Public School
Building.
school.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's Dan's
it's
point.
okay.
Am I right with your point?
Yes.
I was just clarifying Dan's point.
because we do
Yeah.
have,
But with people in the same Torrington-owned schools, you would then have the union, I would hope, from the union's point of view, attempting to claim those jobs because they're being administered by Torrington Public School employees and so on.
Which is
But they-
Dan's point.
but they won't be our employees.
But that's the
That's
problem.
the problem.
Well-
That's the, again, looking at this purely from a union standpoint.
There's the rub.
What's that?
I said, there's the rub.
Right, as a union employee, this will be a Torrington Public building, this will be a Torrington Public School, and all Torrington Public School employees are unionized. Except for administration, except for the few top administration positions. So you will in essence be taking work from the union and giving it to, and that will be great.
So,
Because the passive income's coming through us.
Right.
That's the-
so go ahead, Donna.
Donna's gonna
If I
explode.
just may speak, I just have to say two things. One, this exists throughout the state. There are Head Starts that operate out of public schools. So if we might be able to do some research to see how they navigate the union topic, because I do know that it does exist in Connecticut. And then two, these 42 new slots do not have a home right now. So if they are going to be acting as sort of a solution to bring the special ed in compliance, it would kind of be a win-win situation. If we have staff and funding, but this entity that has these slots does not have a physical space right now. So I think it's just trying to create a solution to the issue. But I do know that Head Starts operate in public schools throughout Connecticut and hire through their federal funded grants. But we would have to get more information on that.
Yeah, I would believe you'd have to get the unions to sign an MOU to allow those jobs to be non-union.
Yeah, the dialogue.
Right. I mean, that's something that would have to happen before you even
Right.
progress. You can't start the program not knowing if those positions are gonna exist or not.
Correct.
But
I
they
saw a
would,
hand up.
there would be employees though. It would be, you would have employees from 3 different or 4 different places working together. As a collaborative, Torrington Public Schools provides a facility.
Which would,
Make it a Torrington.
no, which would be fine if you didn't have Torrington Public School staff teaching some Torrington Public School students in there. If you were essentially leasing the space outright, that's a whole different scenario than trying to have mixed use. You know, you're basically gonna have mixed use. You're talking about a combined classroom, so you would be intermixing the two. And again, it's just a conversation that has to happen with the 3 bargaining units to see how their reaction to that would be. They may not mind, but, Dan's point is, with the grievances that we do get, I mean, it could be hard.
So we'd be better off finding a different space and working with.
I don't think you need to abandon this. I
No, we
think
just need
the
to have a conversation.
has to be had.
I think you have to have the conversation before,
You may find that they're completely fine with it, but
Right.
we can't just do it and then
Yeah.
find out later that they don't like it.
I'm sorry, John.
No, because if we don't mix those kids, then we are putting ourselves in a position where we are paying taxpayer money to renovate space, which will then be used by private entities, whether they're nonprofit or not, or can be characterized as advocacy groups or pro-child or not, makes no difference. We still become a landlord providing real estate at taxpayer expense to organizations over which we have no control.
So we wouldn't receive any revenue back from
In the grant, there are operation costs, so it could help with the running.
She was referring to rent.
I'm just curious as to why these other facilities wouldn't make the space in their own.
Because we're actually doubling the number of children who are currently receiving an early childhood experience. There's not physical space. That's why. We're looking for physical space that we could.
Right, but you have to understand, from a general taxpayer in Torrington, it's tough to see what the benefit to Torrington taxpayers is to renovate a building and provide space for non-Torrington Board of Education entities to come in and collect revenue for free space that they're obtaining in our building that we're paying for. It's a tough concept to swallow.
Not even the taxpayers, but as a business owner in Torrington, I would love somebody to give me a bunch of free space. I mean, that would be
But
great.
you're a profit. You work for profit.
Not always. We don't
Well,
think
that's well, it could be the
But
boss.
with free space, you can make profit.
Right. Yeah, no, but the point, whether you're a public entity or private entity, is it's providing, you know, kind of a leg up for one business over somebody else's business, and you just have to be careful that you're not advancing one and hurting another that
No,
could
because
come
they
back
had
and
to,
get you.
well, first of all, that they had to be identified with certain criteria, and they had to be included into the grant. So when we put in for the grant, we had to name the early childhood centers that would qualify to then provide education for the children. And they had to be NIAC accredited, they have to be following the state early childhood curriculum assessment process. There were several things that they had to be able to do. And the other thing is, you said, you know, you talk about the taxpayer. You're right, except that anything that you read in early childhood, if a child is exposed to a quality early childhood education, the chances of them, number one, not dropping out of school, number two, becoming a successful reader by grade 3, age 8, and if they're a successful reader, they'll probably be successful with their other academics. For every dollar invested, it's $18 return. Keeps kids out of jail, and I can give you a whole bunch more research of what the benefits are of investing in early childhood. And I'll tell you, if we could,
We went all-day kindergarten this year because we support you on that topic. We went out fighting on that topic. But as I asked you before, I would like to see Mr. Potter or someone. I talked to the superintendent about this because I was concerned with the fact that it's essentially $840,000 that didn't go up to bid. We have to bid everything. And I was concerned that we would be awarding $840,000 to groups, and I just wanted to make sure that through the state of Connecticut that it is okay to do this without putting it out to bid, just so that that doesn't become an issue later.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't, because that was,
I just, you know, again, we have to do transportation, fuel, electricity. I would hate to see us not check with the state to make sure
Well, the
that
other
that's not.
concern is too, I mean, we went through budget last year and we had the biggest increase of any entity in the city. Thank goodness that they were good with it and, you know, all of that, but now we're asking basically for more. It makes it really tough, and I think we're all in agreement that we want plenty of good stuff at the early childhood development level, but we unfortunately, sometimes we have to look at this as, from a business standpoint. I don't know that there's a ton of benefit on this.
Well, that was the only reason I asked about portables, because if it's cost effective for the district to renovate that building, to use it as a temporary displacement for each school, and it's less expensive than leasing a portable, you have a tangible asset when you're done versus something you just send back to GE Capital. And you might be able to kill two birds with one stone, but you would delay the early childhood until after the e-school kids were done with it.
If this proposal doesn't go forward, is there a contingency plan being considered or in place that will solve the compliance problem?
Yes. We are looking at other sites.
I think we've